This is Brad at Attitude RC. I'm doing some work on my 9XR Pro. I'm setting up some flight modes, and I'm used to a 3-position switch on, right here on my Tyrannus and my X12S, and this is only a 2-position switch, off and on. So what I did was I took my flight mode, which is normally 3 positions, because I have 3 flight modes, and I moved it to this switch and this one. And basically, you can see the flight mode turns on to stunt, and then turns on to stunt 2 or 3D, and then back to takeoff. Boom, boom, and there you go. So this is how I did it. I'm going to open up my my model here. First, what I did was I set up some logical switches. Rudder switch on and elevator off is logical switch 1. You see it right there. Then rudder on and elevator on is logical switch 2. Then in my mixes, in my flight modes, I set those up. There's my takeoff, which is basically just in the normal static mode. Then stunt mode is on switch L1, and stunt 2 is on L2. And I probably ought to call that something different than stunt 2, but we'll just leave it at stunt. Let's just call it stunt 2. So when we simulate this, you see we're in takeoff mode. No logical switches are on. So we're going to switch that rudder switch on. And there's my my first 3D aerobatics, my stunt mode. So that just increases my throws, and I can show you that back in the mix when we go back into the mix. And let's put one of our throws up here. Okay, let's put one of our throws up so you can see how it goes down. See channel 3 dropping. Well, channel 2 and 3. And then we'll switch the elevator in. Oh, switch the rudder on so it's in stunt, and then let the elevator in. You see how much more throw we get on everything. So that's how you basically make a 3-position switch out of two 2-position switches. It's really easy. Now on helicopters, I do the same thing, except I add in one other thing. And I'm going to open up, I think my 450 is all set up. So on the 450, we add in one more thing, and I'll show you that right now. Oh, had it turned on. So the other thing we add on is our throttle hold right there. So when I flip that, it flips our throttle hold in. So you can see right here where it says normal, we're in normal mode right now. Flip that, it actually puts it in the hold, and that's one of my flight modes. And it drops the throttle down. You see the throttle drop down to nothing. And then put the throttle up a little bit. Boom, throttle hold down. Now here's our rudder, and then idle up 2. And that's how I do my throttle hold. Now, let's take a look at that in our logical switches. Close that, close that. The logical switches look a little different, and I have multiple logical switches. So the first one is throttle hold. And throttle hold is the throttle hold switch, and that's logical switch 1. Not rudder, not elevator, and not throttle hold. So that's the 2 switches that I just showed you initially for the flight mode. which would be this one and this one. So nothing on basically gives you logical switch 2. Then the rudder on, elevator off, and throttle hold off gives you logical switch 3. Rudder on, elevator on, not throttle hold gives you logical switch 4. So let's go back to my mixes. Or I'm sorry, flight modes. You can see flight mode hold is nothing on, which is, or logical switch 1, which is nothing on and throttle hold. Flight mode 2, logical switch 2. Flight mode 3, logical switch 3. Or flight mode 2 is logical switch 2, which is my idle up. Flight mode 3, which is my 3D, is logical switch 4, which are the ones I just showed you. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Really, logical switch 1, you don't have to call out for anything. I just put it there to keep my mind straight, basically, and give me that throttle hold. So that is our flight modes. Now, what I did on the inputs was I put Expo on my inputs for my elevator, and then that's my logical switch 5 and 6. And I did that the same way. I have 2 positions. So first level and second level, and I do them backwards. So when they're on, they're actually in 70% Expo. So I got lots of play on there. It's nice and easy to move around. Next one is 30% Expo, and then no Expo. So that's how we have that set up. That's how I do flight modes. Just a real quick look at flight modes. One other thing I might want to mention is I always put them in order on here. I'm not sure why. It just seems to work, and I always assign a curve to throttle hold. And curves are really simple. I just put on 12, and there's what my hold curve looks like. So it's not a curve really at all. It's just a flat line where, you know, my normal throttle curve or pitch curve, my normal pitch curve, my idle up pitch curve, and then normal throttle. So when we're at 50% pitch, we're at the same throttle we're gonna have when we go to idle up. So you don't get any jump in your pitch when you go up. And then that's my top curve. So I got kind of a fast motor on this. That's why I'm only going 85, 90. So that's just a little bit about flight modes on the 9XR, making 3 position switches out of 2 position switches. And that's how I do it. And like anything OpenTX, there's 1,000 ways to do anything. So once again, this is Brad at Attitude RC. Like, subscribe, find me on Facebook, and just keep playing with it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, go ahead and send them to me. Thanks a lot. Bye.